Today on Paralegal America, we take you inside a tense Senate Banking Committee hearing. Senator Kennedy pressed nominee Stephen Miran on his independence and whether he was just a political puppet. What followed was a revealing conversation about responsibility and the real limits of the Federal Reserve's power. At the Senate hearing, Kennedy asked if I was responsible for everything President Trump says. I replied, no, my role is as chairman. The president never calls me for approval. I clarified, press conferences aren't part of my job, nor for aides under Biden, Obama, or Clinton. Kennedy finished, we don't live in La La Land, do we? I answered, no.
Senator Kennedy.
Dr. Miran, do presidents, any president, generally appoint their enemies?
Thank you, Senator, for the question.
Don't thank me. It just takes up time.
I believe that when they nominate them,
Do they generally appoint their enemies?
they don't believe they are when they're when they're making.
Do presidents, any president, generally appoint people that they agree with on social and economic policy?
I believe that presidents appoint people whose
That's a
policies,
yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we live in the real world, don't we?
Yes.
Are you personally responsible for everything President Trump says?
No, my role as the chairman of the
Before President Trump says something as President of the United States, does he call you up and say, Stephen, I'm about to say this and I want your approval? Does he do that?
Never.
The conversation shifted to the big picture, how Congress's spending impacts inflation and the economy. Kennedy stressed, if Congress spends recklessly, it drives debt and inflation, no matter what the Fed does. Fiscal policy is just as crucial as monetary policy. Congress truly matters. Then came the sharpest jab. Kennedy said, my good friend Senator Warren says you're Donald Trump's puppet. Are you? I answered, not at all. I am independently minded and willing to hold views outside the consensus. Kennedy warned, we're going to hold you to that, Governor.
And after the president says something, does he call you up and say, Stephen, was that okay? Are you okay with this?
Nope. I have an advisory role.
Okay. Now, sometimes intelligent adults, reasonable people disagree. Is that true?
Very often.
Is it part of your job description, when you disagree with something the president says, to call a press conference and say, he's wrong about this and let me explain to you why? Is that part of your job description?
Not as CH.
Is that part of the job description of any aide that you know of to President Biden?
No.
How about for President Obama?
No.
How about for President Clinton?
No.
We don't live in La La Land, do we?
No.
Now, monetary policy is important, and the Fed is in charge of it. But monetary policy is not the only thing that's important. Fiscal policy is important, isn't it?
Fiscal policy is extremely important.
And I don't care how low the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. If the United States Congress is profligate in its spending, if it spends money like it's pond water, if it runs up $37 trillion in debt, and deficit spends to the tune of 7% every year, that also has an impact on employment and economic growth and inflation, does it not?
Absolutely, and I think people often make a mistake by looking solely at monetary policy when fiscal policy is a huge driver.
Kennedy wrapped up with a message that cut straight to the core. You're going to get a lot of advice from politicians. Even a blind chicken finds a mealworm now and then. But what we need is a monetary plan not put together by vodka and darts. Ignore the rhetoric and stay independent. I do commit to that. For more political and legal insights, hit subscribe and turn on notifications.
You're Donald Trump's puppet. Are you Donald Trump's puppet?
Not at all. I'm very independently minded, as shown by my willingness to stray from consensus and have out-of-consensus views, and I believe that, I will continue to be as independent, in my thinking process, if confirmed.
We're going to hold you to that, Governor, future Governor. You need to call them like you see them. There's nothing wrong with politicians in Washington offering their opinions. You can't stop them. But we need a monetary plan that was put together by something other than vodka and darts. And that's what we had the Federal Reserve for. Now, you're going to get a lot of advice from politicians. I'm not saying they're always wrong. Even a blind chicken finds a mealworm now and then. But you've got to call them like you see them and ignore, nothing wrong with people giving their advice, but ignore all the rhetoric from all politicians. Will you give me that commitment?
I do commit to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This hearing wasn't just about Stephen Miran's nomination, it was about the tension between politics, policy, and independence. Kennedy's questions cut deep into the balance of power between Congress, the Fed, and the presidency. The stakes are high. Accountability is everything. Like, share, and subscribe for more on law, policy, and governance.